They say the women of Sri Lanka smile as if they know an ancient secret of the ocean. But anyone who has ever stepped onto its red soil understands. It is the country itself that smiles, softly, slowly, with the scent of spices and the endless murmur of the waves. Sri Lanka is an island lying beneath India, like a fragment of an ancient world reflected in the water. With a territory of just over 65,000 square kilometers, it is covered with jungles, tea-covered hills, and coastal towns where life flows gently, following the warm rhythm of the ocean. More than 22 million people live here, woven together by cultures, languages, and faiths. Buddhist stupas stand beside colonial architecture, and modern districts neighbor small villages where tea is still brewed in copper pots. Sri Lanka feels like a calm wave slowly rolling in, historical, tender, yet filled with an inner strength you can sense from the very first steps. They say the women of Sri Lanka are like an ocean sunrise, soft in color, yet strong in silence. Their appearance is a blend of delicate features, deep dark eyes, and movements so smooth they resemble walking across warm sand. They wear saris that drape around the body like flowing waves, and their smile always seems slightly shy, yet sincere. There is a calmness about them, born from generations who learned to live beside the sea, the rain, and the endless green of the island. In their behavior, you can feel a quiet dignity. They speak softly but confidently, look directly, yet never aggressively. At home, they often carry an entire household on their shoulders, cooking fragrant curries, managing daily chores, caring for children and elders, and sometimes even working multiple jobs at once. Socially, they are both the heart and the foundation of the family. Yet their lives are not always easy. Only around 1/3 participate in the labor market, and even those who work often receive lower wages for the same responsibilities. Their representation in parliament has long remained low, and the gender pay gap is noticeable even in modern cities. But it is this very contrast, gentle beauty and tough reality, that makes Sri Lankan women truly unique. Their beauty is not only external. Within each of them lives a quiet strength that needs no loud words. They are like the country's tea-covered hills, soft at first glance, yet steadfast against wind and time. They say the stone here remembers even the shadows of those who walked upon it thousands of years ago. The architecture of Sri Lanka is a silent chronicle of the island, where every era has left its mark. The ancient kingdoms of Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa gifted the land monumental stupas, white, round, like moons that have touched the earth. Their surfaces are smooth like water before rain, and even today they hold the breath of centuries. Temples carved from stone seem to grow straight from the ground, columns shaped with lotus motifs, bas-reliefs of gods and dancers, stairways leading into the silence of hidden courtyards. Sigiriya, the lion rock rising above the jungle, stands like a heavenly throne. Its frescoes of Apsara women, bright, delicate, alive, gaze across centuries as if a painter's brush touched them only yesterday. It is more than art. It is a dialogue between past and present. The colonial era left its imprint as well. In Gaul, narrow streets lined with Dutch-style stone houses breathe sea salt and stories of sailors. In Colombo, modern skyscrapers and business districts rise above the waterfront like glass palms of the future. Between them stand old veranda-shaded houses where time moves slower. Sri Lanka is a land of contrasts, and its architecture reflects the soul of the island. A blend of ancient tranquility and new ambition. Stone, wood, color, and space. Everything here breathes a philosophy. Nothing disappears, it merely transforms. And when you stand among these structures, it feels as if you hear a faint hum, not the wind, but history itself traveling through time. They say the nature of Sri Lanka breathes so deeply that you can hear it even in the silence of night. The island's landscapes are poetry written in green lines. The jungles are dense, warm, almost alive. They tighten around the paths, hide birds whose voices sound like flutes, and shelter elephants that move slowly, like ancient rituals. Tea plantations rise in waves of emerald, neat rows running across the hills like the careful handwriting of the earth itself. In the early morning, a thin veil of white mist hangs above the slopes, dissolving with the first touch of sunlight. Every unique location is a world of its own. Yala National Park, where leopards wander among golden grasses. Adams Peak, a mountain that rises from the darkness before dawn, while hundreds of people climb to witness the triangle-shaped shadow cast from its summit, visible only for a few minutes each year. The shores of Marissa and Unawatuna are gentle waves dancing beneath the sun, and winds carrying the scent of salt, coconut, and faraway spices. Sri Lanka moves to its own natural rhythm, soft, rolling, unhurried. There are no abrupt seasonal explosions. Everything changes gradually, like the breath of the ocean. Rain arrives, and it feels as if the trees begin to speak. Heat returns, and the land exhales warmth slowly. The island's atmosphere is a blend of rustling palms, the hum of tropical insects, and waves that never rest. The wind carries not the scent of pine, but cinnamon, damp soil, and mango blossoms. And when you stand within this nature, it feels like you're not listening to the sounds of the world. You're listening to its heartbeat. They say the rhythm of Sri Lanka is not the footsteps of its people, but the quiet heartbeat of the ocean. A rhythm they live with, whether they face it or turn their backs to it. Yet always stay close. Daily life flows slowly here, like tea steeping in clay cups. Mornings in the cities awaken with the smell of roti frying right on the streets and the sharp aroma of curry prepared in nearly every home. People walk to work unhurriedly, carrying small breakfast packets in their hands, their faces softened by a kind of calm rarely found in the world's megacities. Colombo, however, breaks into a faster pace. Office buildings, chaotic roads, the roar of buses stopping abruptly without warning. Fruit sellers stand on scorching sidewalks, while school children in white uniforms pass by colonial facades like pages from an old textbook. Everyone is in motion, but in a Sri Lankan way. Not frantic, but organized, as if time itself has become more elastic. In small villages, life is different. Days are measured not by hours, but by weather. When it rains, people sit on verandas and talk. When the sun shines, they work in the fields, dry spices, or sort tea leaves. Evenings are slow and shared. Families gather, cook simple meals, and a TV in the corner quietly shows melodramas or news. Almost everyone knows one another, and information travels faster than buses on their routes. Coffee isn't as popular here as tea, but in coastal towns people drink it on the beach, slowly, barefoot, while waves touch the sand beneath their feet. Evening walks are a favorite ritual, when the heat fades and the air becomes soft like warm sari fabric. Social behavior is reserved. People don't raise their voices without reason. Elders are respected, and guests are greeted with smiles and fresh fruit. The contrast between the capital and the villages feels like two different worlds, yet both share the same quiet philosophy. Life does not need to be rushed. Sri Lankans live as if time is neither an enemy nor a resource, but a companion, one that must be listened to patiently and attentively. They say that in this country, dreams are often measured not in money, but in how many cups of tea you manage to drink before sunset. Yet the reality is clear. Life on the island also comes with its own price tag. Sri Lanka's economy is mixed, with the service sector taking the largest share of GDP, more than half, along with industry and agriculture. In recent years, however, the country has faced a severe financial crisis. Foreign currency reserves dropped, the local currency significantly devalued, and inflation soared above 60%. Speaking of living costs, as of 2025, the average cost of living in Sri Lanka remains much lower than in Western Europe or North America, but average salaries are also considerably smaller. For example, the cost of living index in the capital, Colombo, stands at around 36.1 on a comparative scale, indicating relatively low expenses. According to estimates, monthly basic living costs in urban areas are approximately 84,231 LKR per person, while the average monthly salary is around 55,000 LKR. In practical terms, this means that housing, utilities, transportation, and food in large cities can consume a significant share of income, often making it difficult for a single salary to fully cover what is considered a decent standard of living. In rural areas, costs are much lower. Rent, food, and transport are far more affordable, and many households grow part of their own produce. But incomes there are lower as well. Housing illustrates the contrast. In major cities, rent can take up a large portion of the monthly budget, while in villages, people often rely on homegrown food, shared family land, and reduced transportation needs. However, economic opportunities and wages are also more limited outside urban centers. In conclusion, the financial reality of Sri Lanka is a balance between low living expenses and modest income levels. Living here is absolutely possible, but achieving a lifestyle comparable to that of a modern Western capital requires either higher-than-average earnings or careful, strategic financial planning. They say the people of Sri Lanka smile even when their hearts are tightened by hardship, and that smile is never fake. The country's social reality is a mosaic of contrasts. On one side, warm and gentle people who easily find common ground and can talk for hours about weather, tea, and family. On the other, unresolved issues that stretch back decades and resurface from time to time like old scars. Corruption remains one of the most painful topics. It seeps into state institutions as regularly as monsoon rains reach the mountains. Because of it, reforms move slowly, and trust in authorities sways like the crown of a coconut palm in strong wind. Recent economic instability has pushed thousands of young people to seek better opportunities abroad. Migration has become a quiet, steady current. Families saying goodbye at stations, hoping someone will return with a success story. Inequality is noticeable as well. The gap between the capital and the countryside is more than distance. It is a difference in lifestyle, healthcare, education, and access to opportunity. In the cities, new offices, cafes, and hotels are opening, while in some villages, people still draw water from old wells and travel roads where dust rises higher than the trees. Yet, there is another side to this picture. Safety is one of Sri Lanka's greatest treasures. People can walk late at night, children play outdoors freely, and neighbors know each other by name. Nature acts as a form of therapy, keeping people grounded even amid difficulty. Religious coexistence is a norm. Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, and Christians live side by side, sometimes on the same street, and festivals blend as effortlessly as spices in local dishes. The psychology of the nation is soft, resilient, and quiet. Sri Lankans have learned to endure hardship as if it were just another monsoon that must simply be waited out. They believe in tomorrow because they have seen even the heaviest storms pass, leaving a clear sky behind. The social portrait of Sri Lanka is a story of a nation that found balance between calm and struggle, between past and future, between reality and dream. And maybe this is where its strength lies. They say Sri Lanka does not try to impress. It simply exists, quietly, confidently, in its own rhythm. And if you stay even for a single day, if you breathe its air, feel the warmth of its soil, and hear the ocean speaking at night, you will understand everything without a single word. This is not a country that calls you, it waits. And those who arrive with an open heart always find something greater than just a journey.